More competition will breed more choices, and in the end, it'll lower pricing. But all of Obamacare must go, all of it. Otherwise, one day, Democrats will revive it. The question is, will other senators go along with Rand's stand? Joining me now from Tulsa, Oklahoma, former U.S. Senator Tom Coburn. Tom, Senator, the Affordable Care Act, in my opinion, all of it needs to be repealed, and for the aforementioned reason, and that is like Frankenstein's monster. When the Democrats are back in charge, and one day they will be, they can bring this monster back to life. Would you agree with that, number one, and number two, that there is a free market solution out there to the problem?
Sure. I agree with you that they will try to bring it back, because what you see is a socialist Marxist tendency among the progressives and Democrats in this country. Markets work. And we use markets in every other aspect of our economy except healthcare. And if you go back and look, when did healthcare inflation start rising faster than the rest of inflation in our country? It started when we started Medicare, where there was no connection between cost and payment. So we didn't have a competitive system. We didn't have transparent pricing. It didn't matter what it cost, you could buy it because somebody else was paying the bill. But they never charged the tax rate with which to pay for it. I was interested in your opening where you heard the Democrats say that we need to have this, but they don't really want to pay for it.
Right.
They don't want to charge people what it actually costs under the system we have today. Whereas if we had a transparent, competitive market system, we'd see costs go down. We'd see transparent pricing where all the fat that's in healthcare today would start withering away, and healthcare would be much more affordable than it is today. Rand Paul's right. We need to do those things to create that market and that transparency. And then let's get back to actually caring for people instead of worrying about whether or not we're complying with a government mandate.
I think, yeah, you definitely have to remove all of Obamacare, including that mandate. That's key. And I think free market solutions are out there to all of our health care problems. And I think if you put the power back in the hands of the consumer, I think necessarily change will happen, but it'll happen organically and not through a government mandate. Now, the larger picture here, this is obviously a huge Trump agenda, but we're hearing from the left a mantra, Senator, and it's repeated over and over again, and I believe we're going to hear over the next 4 years, to try and delegitimize this presidency. Do you believe that the 45th president, Donald Trump, should take a script and a page, if you will, from Ronald Reagan, and that is stay focused, stay to script, don't let the mainstream media, don't let the Democrats throw you off course?
Well, I think he knows how to do that. The question is whether he will or not. The whole idea of illegitimacy is one of immature juveniles who aren't happy with the outcome of the election. There's nothing illegitimate when you have over 270 electoral votes, and they have nothing to claim that on other than that they did not get their way. So solving that problem, Trump can just go in, start doing what he promised the people he would do. That'll go away.
Which leads me to the current president, Barack Obama. 4 days remain. He has nationalized, what is it, almost 500 million acres of land during his presidency, and there's absolutely no constitutional authority for him to do this. But in his final days, he's probably going to do a little bit more of that. He's probably going to try and empty Gitmo just a little bit more, if not completely close it down. He's also probably going to make some moves on immigration, and he's probably going to make a wholesale pardons. You look for all of this in the final few days?
Well, I don't think the pardons is probably anything different than what we've seen before. Maybe the numbers will be much higher. Look, he's still president. He's going to execute. Intellectually, he's honest. He wanted to change America to a more socialistic America. He was very successful in a lot of areas in doing that. That can be reversed. And what this last election was about reversing that. That, in fact, liberty matters. And that the way we maintain the power of the people, for the people, and by the people is by changing Washington, which means we have to have the solution our founders gave us, which is an Article 5 Convention of Amendments.
And the reason is because even though there's a Republican in the White House, there's only so much a Republican president can do to repair the structural damage that not only took place in the last 8 years, Senator, but took place in the last 100 years.
Well, that's true, but it's also is if you really think that members of Congress are going to grow a spine because Donald Trump is the new president, you got another thought coming. So we have to take it back. America has to take back their country from the elected careerists that are there. And the way to do that is through an Article 5 Convention of the States.
Really the only option we have. And, you know, some people might look at our country constitutionally. Maybe it's beyond repair, and especially if you look at it through the prism of the electorate, which is mostly wholly uneducated about the United States Constitution. But I think you and I would agree that it's worth a shot, and we've got to trigger it. Senator, thank you.
The question facing us and facing our fellow countrymen is a two-word question. Very simply, who decides? The American founders had a simple answer. We, the people, decide. Anything's possible. America is built on the impossible.